part 4. Now that we have our linear regression complete, we have the data here that we're used to seeing, we have a line of best fit, we have points plotted, let's explore some of the more dynamic capabilities that the TI Nspire possesses. What I'd like to do is I'd like to add a split screen with the graph here that I have. So I'm going to go up here to page layout. It's got different options of how you can split your screen up, either vertical or horizontal. You can add more than one screen if you need to. We're going to do a horizontal screen. And again, this is a blank palette down here that we can add an application to. I could put my spreadsheet down here if I would like, and as I change values on the spreadsheet, I can see it change on the graph, which you could probably do that on some of the other calculators before. But this is something really neat what I'm going to show you right now that I've never been able to do on any other calculator. I'm going to resize my window just a tad bit here so I can see my graph up top a little better. If I click down here in this window, the TI Nspire has this add notes. It's like a note page. I can click that. What I can do is I can type something about my graph down there, and I can use the print screen or capture screen capabilities, and I can add these things to my test. But the TI Nspire can do things in real time that a lot of the other calculators cannot do. And here's an example of that. I want to see how my correlation coefficient or my coefficient of determination will change as I move values on my graph. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add a math box into my notes section. So if I right click down here, I'm going to insert math box. I'm going to type stat, S-T-A-T, dot, and when I hit the dot, it's going to bring up the different stat functions or options that I can choose from. Here's R, which is my correlation coefficient. If I click on that and then hit enter, it gives the value that I found when I did my linear regression on my calculator screen, or my home screen as you would usually look at it. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do stat, whoops, sorry. Okay, I already inputted my box. Hit stat, dot, and now I'm going to look for R squared, just down a little bit. Hit enter, and I'll have to scroll up just a little bit. Okay. Here are both my values, and again they're both close to 1, which means that these points are really close to being linear, and the equation that I found earlier is a good estimate of future values. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to grab one of these points and move it around. So first I'm going to click in my window, and I have this point clicked once. That means I can start moving. See how it blinks? It's highlighted. As I move this point up and down, you can see my R values changing in the bottom window. Something else you're going to notice is, look, the line's changing as well. Okay, so as I move it up and down the line, everything's still pretty close to 1, even though the line changes a little bit. The equation that I'm developing is still really good for these sets of values. Watch what happens as I move this point away from that line. Look at how the coefficient of determination is changing. If I have this point way down here at the bottom, and I'll leave it there a second, look at my correlation coefficient, 0.727. That's not really that bad. Most of my points are still linear. However, this coefficient of determination at 0.529, that's telling me that the equation that I found when I did my linear regression is no longer valid for future values. And it's not showing it up here right now. However, I can click on the line, it brings it back. And again, if I'd have done that earlier, I'm sorry I didn't, but you can move this around. Again, you see the equation itself changes too, as well as those values I put in the bottom screen. Again, if I have that point down here at the bottom, this equation is not good at all for future values. Even if my points are very close to being linear, uh, since I've got values way out here off in the left field, so to say, uh, it hinders my equation. And that's something that you can show students or have them explore and have them come up with those answers that we've not been able to do before with other versions of calculators.